Hi yogis, welcome. Today we play with props. This is a short tutorial to offer you some suggestions and just a little bit of information, I guess, on how to play with your props. We're going to look at a bolster and we're going to look at 2 blocks. These are the props that maybe you have in your home or you're thinking about having, and I'll just run through a couple of ways that you can use them. We use our props in our practice to make postures more accessible, more comfortable, more restorative, or more challenging. So I'm just going to give a couple of examples today, and as always, if you have any questions, you can always email me and just let me know what you're thinking and I'll see if I can help. Okay, let's start. I'm just going to kind of move through a few body positions, lying down, lying forward, twisting, standing, and I'll just kind of see what comes to mind as I go through that. If you have any lower back pain, this is a really nice option. Sometimes our props can be used interchangeably. You could place the bolster beneath your knees if you have low back pain, and this is really lovely. If you don't have a bolster, you can also use your blocks beneath your knees. And remember, with your blocks, you have 3 settings. Your highest setting brings the floor higher, your medium setting, your lower setting. So the more support you want, the higher you make your blocks. So if you want more than you would get from your bolster, hi sweet Sammy. Hi buddy, say hi. Okay, go lay down, Beauty. Good boy. So you can lay down, and the support beneath your knees helps to lower your spine closer to the earth. So it imprints your back, it lengthens it out, and it takes that arch and curl that could be painful out of the low back. So this is also a really nice option, block or bolster. A really yummy restorative use of the bolster is to lay it behind your back. Sometimes it feels good to press the bolster right up into your back so you are fully and completely supported, or you could leave an inch or 2 of space and then lie down. So you play with it a little bit and see, and you can just see how I fall into it, how yummy and delicious that is. If you want more support, I automatically came to Supta Baddha Konasana, but if your hips are tight, of course, you can always move your feet further from your body. Or if you want to bring them in closer, you can place the block, tuck it underneath your thighs, and that gives them a little lift and support. And this becomes very yummy and restorative. Again, or beneath your knees. That also gives you support, but a little bit less support. So that's a nice option. We have a visitor coming in and out of our practice, of our little tutorial today. Hi, sweet pea, go lay down, babes. Good boy. Twisting, scooching over to the side as you draw one leg across your body. A bolster is nice. If you have a bolster and you want support in your twist, the whole knee to foot is fully supported here. If you need more support, you could place the block beneath the bolster, and that raises it. You could do that, again, at any level of support. So the blocks could be much higher. This is probably ridiculously high, but they could come maybe to medium, probably the low setting with the block. When I hurt my low back, I really liked this option. But as you can see, if you don't have a bolster, no problem. You can just rest your knee onto your blocks. Set them up at the same height. Sweet pea, go lay down, baby. Go on, go lay down. Good boy. Just set them up at the same height. Lay down. Sweet pea, go. Go lay down. Good boy. Go on, all the way. I'm sorry, please hold. Sammy, go lay down. Good boy. Good boy. Okay, so for twists, Very nice way to bring the floor a little higher and offer you a little bit more support. Okay, forward folds. A nice restorative practice. Again, if you don't have a bolster, but you have blocks, you can also use just a pillow to soften these blocks. You can fold. So I'm putting the block onto my feet, which gives an additional few inches there. And make these blocks as high as you wish. You can angle them, or you can set if you're quite open, the bolster comes right onto your feet and you fold right into it. Or you add a little more height, or you add a little more height. So you can play with all these things to give yourself as much support and height as it needs so that it feels yummy and that you don't want to move. You can do this with your legs like this, or you can also take it with a straight leg fold, same thing. The bolster could come all the way down, all the way down. You need to be quite open for this. So if that's not feeling good, you could place a block at any angle, right? The higher you make it, the more you bring the bolster high up towards you. Good. Sitting. Sitting is a really important time and place to use these, particularly if you have a tight, stiff, painful low back, hip area. Often we will recommend that you sit onto a block. And by sitting on a block, we don't mean sitting all the way on it. Sitting halfway on it, imagining that your pelvis is a bowl of water. You want that bowl of water to spill out a little bit. So what this does is it tilts the pelvis, engages the entire lower abdominal circumference of your body, strengthening the low back, the hips, and helping you get that strength and that length through your low back. So this is a really nice option. You could also use your bolster if you want less support. Obviously, the bolster is softer, so it will feel a little bit nicer. And I'm still kind of sitting halfway on it. You sit back enough that you feel supported, but that you get a tilt in the pelvis. So you may want to do this for meditation. You could also place blocks beneath your knees, cross-legged, Baddha Konasana, soles of your feet together, any variation that feels good for you, to get that little tilt forward, to get the support under your knees so that you can sit comfortably for a long period. You may choose to sit hero's pose. Could do the same with your blocks. So the blocks, I like to sit it to frame the block sideways. I sometimes see people set the block this way, and our seat is wider than that. So the wider you can set your blocks, you can even set two side by side. Well, not for this one, but you could set them one on top of the other. Higher support, especially if you have knee issues, sensitivities. This is a nice way to come to a tall seat. Okay, so seated, support for long periods of sitting or to help open up the hips, strengthen the low back, strengthen the lower core. Okay, let's do a little bit of standing. I tend to, before we come up to standing, I'll show you a couple of ways we use the blocks to strengthen. As you can see, we use the bolster mostly to soften, to support in a restorative, supportive, surrendering kind of way. The sweet escape practice that I have is a yin practice, and it's very restoring. If you take an actual restorative class, you may use 10 props for one pose. You could set yourself up with something like this. Let's say we go like this. And you set it up like this. Oops. This is why I don't teach restorative. Does not come naturally to me. But you support the back with the blocks. You lean back. You could have 2 more blocks, maybe even 2 under each arm. You could have 2 under each knee. And a blanket over top, and maybe even a strap wrapped around your legs so they are lifted and supported. And you settle in, and it takes a long time to set up the pose, but then once you're in it, you stay for a long time. And it's deeply, deeply restorative. Okay, so the strengthening that we can do with our blocks. You all know this one. Bridge pose. Squeeze the block. Squeeze the block between your knees. I want somewhere that you can see me. This helps create an alignment between the knees, the hips, so everything stays hip distance apart. You could use this for some core twists. We also use it for our Setu Bandhasana, our bridge pose. Without the block, what tends to happen is a little bit of a splaying. I'm not sure how much you can see. The knees fall out to the sides, the toes turn out to the side. When you're squeezing the block in, you engage the inner thighs, everything stays engaged and facing directly forward. We also could use the block for some arm strengthening. You could inhale, lift everything up, and exhale down. Playing like that. We also could use the block in our Uttanasana for the same reason, right? It's kind of easy. Stick out your bum maybe, or turn the feet out. But when we squeeze into the block, everything hugs into the midline. Tailbone is easier to engage and tuck under rather than stick out because everything wants to come into the midline. So once we're standing, we use the blocks in standing to bring the floor higher. Trikonasana, triangle pose, is a really nice one to use a block for. Highest setting, floor comes much higher. Medium setting, lowest setting. If you don't have a block, we use our body. But if you have a block, you can use that to help train your body into the alignment, to bring the floor a little higher so that instead of this, see how the whole upper body is rolling in, you can use the block to get the alignment correct. Lengthening out the side body, opening up the shoulders, getting the posture, the alignment and the technique more correct, more accurate in your own body. It's a nice way to practice going into more challenging poses. So now I'm in a revolve triangle, using the thumb of the front leg to pull back. The block helps find that twist. Way harder to keep the alignment without the block. Everything is compromised here through my torso. But with the block, now I can lengthen out the torso, I can pull the hip back, and I can start to find the twist. The other same principle of bringing the floor higher to help you do the pose correctly, instead of thinking you're deeper, but losing all the integrity of the pose. Better to use your props, find the integrity of the pose by bringing the floor a little higher. Starting with the highest setting, and then as you feel comfortable, you go lower and lower until one day you don't need it at all. Make sense? What else? Forward, twisting, not twisting, but side stretching. If you have a bolster, even if I don't say anything in class, in our practice, but you feel the floor is far from you, use the bolster. Take your side stretch using the bolster. You could do the same with the blocks. Use that to bring the floor higher. Be careful with the block because it's higher. I felt my shoulder crunch up into my neck. So that we don't want. You want a lot of space here, but do keep these toys in mind anytime you're finding your body is straining to get into the pose. One of the nice ways I like to use the bolster is for that thigh stretch. Lying onto your tummy, hug the bolster with one arm. So the forearm comes to the ground. This helps me maintain my awareness of lifting my chest so that I can reach back and take that thigh stretch. Gives me a cramp every time. So folding over the leg, folding over the bolster. Of course, child's pose. Yummy, yummy, yummy. You could stay here like forever. And again, you could support it. You could make that a little higher. And bring that higher, higher if you want. You could also, I don't know if this would feel good. You could sit like this, placing, if you have, I don't know, ankle or knee discomfort, you could sit onto the bolster. That might be a nice option. I think my final suggestion is my absolute favorite one to do with the bolster, which is this. It's the lying twist, and it's the most delicious of the bolster uses in my mind. Bring your knee to face directly forward. Tuck the back knee into the foot of the front knee. So it's almost 90-degree angles. So if you're facing me, your knee is directly forward, and then the bolster tucks right up into the hip. In fact, tilt it a little bit forward towards your knee. Frame your body over the bolster. Frame it over and then drop down. And I could stay here forever. If you want more twist, take the bolster. So you want the bolster tucked all the way up into your body and you're resting exactly over it, completely supported. If that doesn't happen, take your block or take more pillows and stuff them underneath. If you want more twist, turn the bolster. Turn it more and more to face the back. The more forward you bring the bolster, the gentler the twist. The more you take it back, the more intense. Turning to face forward is restful for your neck. Turning to face the back gives your neck a stretch. So you choose which works better for you. And knee faces forward, back knee tucks into the foot. Tilt the bolster forward to start, frame your body over it, push it in so it's directly underneath, tucked all the way up into your hip, fully supported. Drop in, maybe bring it back, and there you go. Again, if you have any questions, let me know. I hope that you enjoyed the bolsters and blocks playing with props. Thank you so much, and I will see you next time on the mat.